Hello everyone, you're welcome to this video, and in this tutorial we'll be looking at Excel's text functions. By text functions we mean all the functions in Excel that help us to manipulate text or strings. When I say manipulate, it could mean joining them together, splitting them apart, extracting a certain number of characters, and so on and so forth. So all these functions, they help us to manipulate text or strings in Excel. We have several of them. If you want to find out a complete list, you go to the formulas, and then here you open it up, you click on text, and then you see all of them. But here today, or in this video, we just want to look at a few of them: left, right, lower, upper, proper, len, trim, and concatenate. Concatenate is actually found in older versions. Newer versions call it concact, but it's just the same thing. So the left function or the right function, lower or upper or proper, they do similar things. I just had to group them together. So let us look at what they do. So let's start with the left function. The left function actually extracts a specific number of characters from the left side of a text string. So say for example, here I have city names. If I want to extract just the first letter, this first character in each city name, now you know that the first letter, the first character is going to be by the left of the city name. So I use the left function to extract that. If I want to extract the last character, which I may not really need here, I will need to use the right function. So there may be certain situations where you will need to retrieve the right. You will need to use the right function. Maybe you want to retrieve the last character, or the last two characters, or the last three characters, as the case may be. You will use the right. But if you want to retrieve the first, or the first two, or the first three, you use the left function. So what's the syntax like? You just have your equal to left, and once you hit your bracket, it says text and then the number of characters that you want to retrieve. The same thing goes for right, R-I-G-H-T, and once I open my bracket, same thing, text and then the number of characters. So we will be using those two for our examples. The first example says we should retrieve the first letter of each city. So I will say equal to left, since the first letter is by the left, and then this, let's start with this, and once I close my bracket and say enter, it fills it for the entire column. But I have a slight problem here. Liverpool is L and London is L, so that may not really serve any purpose. I may just have to make it 2 characters. Okay, so I may just have to make it 2 characters. Did I state the number of characters for at the first time? Here, let's see. Okay, default is 1. I didn't state the number of characters at the first instance, so I will just have to say 1, and it gives me the same thing, but this time around I want to use 2, so that makes it a little better. Liverpool is now LI and London is now LO. So you stipulate the text and then the number of characters for the left function. Same for the right function. For example, in this example says we should extract the last 3 letters of each profession. This is where we have professions. Well, I may not really need that. It may not really appear useful, but let's try and do that. Let's still use the same column here, and so we will say equal to right. We want to extract the last 3 letters of each profession. So I'm going to say right, and then that is E2. That will be this, and then the last 3. 3, I will just indicate 3, and since it is right, it's going to start counting from the right. And once I hit equal to, it just gives me all these I really may not need for anything, but there are certain situations where you may need to use that. You can just apply it. Okay, let's go to the very next function, and that is the lower function in conjunction with the upper and the proper. We'll look at 3 of them together. What does the lower function do? What do we use it for? Actually, it helps us change the case of a particular of a particular string, of a particular text. You can see in our A column where we have our first names, all of them are in uppercase, so we can use the lower to change all of them to lowercase. We can use the upper to change all of them to uppercase. They're already in uppercase, so we can do that for the last name where we change all of them to uppercase, or yes, uppercase. And then proper is actually when you just want the first letter to be uppercase, like we have in the case of the last name. So I can change this to proper. I'll just have only the first one uppercase and the rest lowercase. If I use lower, everything will be lowercase. So let us see our examples. First of all, let us see the syntax for 3 of them. So I will say lower, open my bracket, and all I just have to enter is the text. Same for upper, enter my text, and then same for proper, I'll just enter my text. So let's take our questions. First one says convert all first names to lower case. I may have to collapse some columns. Let's just collapse this so that we can see everything at a glance. Let me just, I don't want to hide it, but let me just drag this a little bit. I may not need these two for this example, so let us shift all the way to the left. So the question again says we should convert all first names to lowercase. This is where we have first names, they are all in uppercase, so we want to convert all of them to lowercase, and we will use our lower function, and that is A2. And once we fill that, or once we hit our enter key, it does it effects the change for every other row. So we have summer here all in lowercase. Let's undo that and then do example 2. It says we should change all first names to proper case. These first names again, firstly we had changed them to lowercase. Now we can see, let's see how proper works. So I will say proper A2, and you see all the first letters are uppercase, whereas all others are just lowercase. Okay, the next question says we should make all last names lowercase, all the last names. So this is where we have the last names, and it is in proper case, as you can see. So we want to change everything to lowercase. So what do? Lower, and that will be B2, right? Yeah, and we have all of them in lowercase. That's just what those functions do. The next function we have here is the len function, L-E-N, len. It's actually extracted from length. So what do we use it for? We use the len function to find, or should I say, count the number of characters in a text string. So if I want to count the number of characters in any string at all, I will use the len function. So this is the syntax, and I just added the text, and it to tell me how many, to just count how many characters are there, including the dot and including special characters and the rest. Okay, so it counts everything. So let us try, and does it count spaces? We will find out if it counts spaces. So let us try and count. The question here says we should find the length of each email address. The length of each email address. How many characters are in each email address? I think that should have been better. So we will say len, and then what is the text? D2, and it tells us that this email address has 17 characters. Let us try and add a space and see if that increases to 18. Yes, so it sure increases to 18, meaning that it counts spaces as well. Let's take it back, or let's just undo. Yep, so it counts spaces as well. Okay, so that is for that. It's very direct and straight to the point. Let us go to the very last function. Is that the last? It's not the last. Trim function actually removes the spaces. That's what it is used for. Just as the name implies, it trims. It removes all extra spaces from a text string and only leaves maybe just single spaces between words. So for example, if there are spaces before liberal here or after professions here, it will remove those spaces, but it will leave the space immediately after liberal, the space between the first word and the second word. That's smart. So we want to see if we can remove all spaces, if there are spaces anyway. So let us, I don't think there are spaces, but let's just use that for the sake of it. Remove all spaces before and after city names. Let's hope there are spaces, but here we go. That is trim. So it's basically used for data cleaning. So if there are no spaces, you can just go ahead and leave your data that way. So it just cleans and returns everything without the extra spaces before or after the words. Okay, but remember, it leaves only the spaces in between words. And then lastly, we'll be looking at the concatenate. As I said earlier, newer Excel versions use concat, just C-O-N-C-A-T. The concatenate just works fine. It performs the same function. So what do we use concatenate function for? To join multiple text strings together into one. So if I have several texts that I want to combine into one, I will use the concact function. So what's this the syntax like? So there it goes. So you have your concatenate text 1, text 2, you just keep writing all the text and it will combine them into one. So the example that we have here, it says we should combine the first names and the last names together. So there are instances where you may need to combine first names and the last names, but let's see what happens here. So I'm going to say concatenate A2 comma and B2. So we just have everything combined together, no space. So if you want to add a space, just to have a break between the first and the second one, just a little space, all of you just have to do, let me come here, and then I could just do it here. Yeah, let me come to my formula bar, and then I add my quotation mark, space, quotation mark, closing, and then a comma. So it's basically, we act like my text too, yeah, but it's actually a space. So when I hit my enter, I now have my spaces there between the first name and the last name. So that's what we have for you in this video. Let me get rid of everything here. So that's what we have in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, or if you did, please click the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and watch other videos. They're very interesting videos. I believe you are going to find them very interesting. Yeah, go ahead and watch them, and hopefully we will see you in the next videos. Remember to drop a comment if there is a question or something that you would like us to cover in the future. Go ahead and let us know in the comment section. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful time. Bye.